Okay, the story that's breaking at the moment, the on-off relationship between India and the United States, more specifically between Prime Minister Modi and US President Donald Trump, could be on again after Donald Trump made a Diwali call to the Indian Prime Minister to greet him. During that call, Trump called it a great conversation with my friend Mr. Modi. It appears that the two leaders are now likely to meet at the ASEAN summit, which is to be held in Malaysia later this month. Sources saying a sixth round of trade talks yet to start, but there is hope now that the trade talks could get some momentum. Sources also telling India today that the talks will resume based on what happens at that ASEAN meeting now likely to take place between the US President and the Indian Prime Minister. Karishma Asudani joins us for more. She's been tracking the trade talks in particular. Karishma, are we now seeing in this on-off relationship the possibility that once the two leaders meet at a summit, the trade talks could get a momentum and that November deadline, which has been set in a way, could actually be met?
Well, Rajdeep, it's evident that things are now turning to be positive. In fact, we've been reporting for a while that India's latest visit to the United States of America, which just concluded on Sunday mid-Diwali, where officials had returned, including the current Commerce Secretary, Mr. Rajesh Agarwal, where final contours of the deal is being signed. But I still would not say fully that we are ready, because until and unless the sixth round of negotiation kicks off, it's difficult to say anything. In case both the leaders go to the ASEAN summit, while President Donald Trump has confirmed, but we do not have confirmation yet from Prime Minister Narendra Modi. In case this happens, then the meeting between both the leaders will be very crucial, especially on the fact that a lot of exchange on Russian oil has been happening over the social media platform, where the United States of America claims that India has decided to stop its trade with Russia, while we do not have an official consensus or word on this yet. However, sources have confirmed that we are willing to increase our trade with the US on energy. We are willing to look at, we have a headroom of close to about, say, $12 to $15 billion in order to consider imports when it comes to oil, and move a bit from Russia, but not completely.
Karishma Asudani, for those details, we'll keep tracking, of course, this up-down relationship between India and the United States. Now, remember, Donald Trump addressed the media at the White House earlier today, and he made it clear that he had a great conversation with Prime Minister Modi. Said he reached out to the Prime Minister on Diwali, wished him, but the niggling question of India buying Russian oil is still on the table. Trump claimed India has agreed not to buy much Russian oil this time. Listen in to what Donald Trump said.
People gathered on behalf of all Americans. Let me also extend our warmest wishes to the people of India. I just spoke to your Prime Minister today. We had a great conversation. We talk about trade, we talk about a lot of things, but mostly the world of trade. He's very interested in that. Although we did talk a little while ago about let's have no wars with Pakistan. And I think the fact that trade was involved, I was able to talk about that. And we have no war with Pakistan and India, and that was a very, very good thing. But he's a great person, and he's become a great friend of mine over the years. In a few moments, we'll light the diya as a symbol of faith in the victory of light over darkness. It's a beautiful term, light over darkness. That's what it's all about. Thank you. We stand great, and the people of India, I love the people of India, and we're working on some great deals between our countries. I spoke to the Prime Minister Modi today, as I mentioned before, and we just have a very good relationship. And he's not going to buy much oil from Russia. He wants to see that war end as much as I do. He wants to see the war end with Russia, Ukraine. And as you know, they're not going to be buying too much oil. So they've cut it way back, and they're continuing to cut it way back.
Okay, let's turn from there to our special focus today. Yesterday, we had reported how the Lokpal of India found itself in a controversy after it chose to issue a tender calling for 7 high luxury BMW cars for the members, all of whom are retired Supreme Court judges and High Court judges. Now the controversy has taken another turn because several activists as well as opposition members are raising a question. What does the Lokpal really do? Is it truly an anti-corruption ombudsman that it was meant to be? Or is it simply there in name, using taxpayers' money on extravagances like BMW cars? What is the Lokpal all about? This was the body that in many ways propelled India against corruption. All these years later, has that dream of a strong anti-corruption body remained unfulfilled? Nalini Sharma, our legal editor, has more.
The Lokpal of India is at the centre of a fresh controversy, this time over a tender to buy 7 luxury BMW 3 Series 330 LIM sport cars, each priced around 69.5 lakh. The total cost nearly 5 crore. The move has triggered outrage and sharp criticism across political and social circles. Critics, including former activists and opposition leaders, have called it ironic and hypocritical that an institution meant to curb corruption is now spending lavishly on luxury vehicles. But data on the Lokpal official website raises even deeper concerns. Since its inception, the Lokpal has received 6,955 complaints till September 30th, 2025. Of these, 6,845 or over 98% have been disposed of. While that suggests efficiency, the real picture lies in the quality of disposal. Most complaints were dismissed at the preliminary stage due to procedural flaws, lack of jurisdiction or technical defects. Only 289 complaints, about 4.1%, were deemed fit for a preliminary inquiry. And the number dropped sharply when it comes to full-scale investigations. Just 39 cases since 2019. That means less than 0.5% of total complaints have led to actual probes. The next red flag, prosecution. Out of 39 investigations, prosecution sanctions were obtained in just 7 cases. That is an overall success rate of barely a fraction of a percent when measured against nearly 7,000 complaints.
In 2013, when the Lokpal came into being, it was supposed to act against corruption. But with this kind of tender that also talks about how the drivers need to be trained in classrooms and also on the ground for 15 days, and a demand of, closing the bid, the last day of closing the bid on November 6th. In 15 days, the cars need to be supplied and not more than 30 days need to be taken. It really has raked up a political storm.
Then comes the question of cost. India today has access to budget and expenditure data of the Lokpal from 2019 to 2024. In these 5 years, over 309 crore has been spent on land, rent, salaries and other office expenses, out of an allocated 341 crore, later revised to 364 crore. Interestingly, in 2023 and 24, only 12 lakh was allotted for motor vehicles from a total budget of 93 crore. Yet in 2025, the Lokpal has now flouted a tender to buy luxury cars worth nearly 5 crore, a hike of over 4,000%.
Lokayuk or Lokpal, both, must not only be seen as ombudsmen, but seen as people who live a simple life, austere life, and are dedicated to service of people. Now, by buying BMWs, you lose that sheen.
ये लोकपाल नहीं रहा, ये तो शौकपाल हो गया। शौकपाल और शौकपाल दोनों हो गया। 7 BMW खरीदने का टेंडर निकाला है। हम लोग सब जानते हैं कि लोकपाल में कौन लोग नियुक्त हुए हैं। जो प्रधानमंत्री और गृह मंत्री चाहते हैं, उन्हीं के चहीते लोग को नियुक्त किया गया है।
With the kind of expenditure that the Lokpal has done, amounting to over 309 crores over the course of the past 5 years, it seriously raises the question whether the anti-corruption institution is really fulfilling the promise that it had once set out to achieve.
With Mausami Singh and Nalini Sharma, Bureau Report, India Today.
Okay, my first guest on the Lokpal controversy is the senior Congress MP, senior lawyer of the Supreme Court, a former chairman of the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Law, Abhishek Manu Singhvi joins me. Appreciate your joining us, Dr. Singhvi. You've come out very strongly against the Lokpal decision to move a tender calling for ordering 7 BMW cars for all the members of the Lokpal of India. You've called it a tragic irony for an anti-corruption body. Why have you used those words? Because the Lokpal sources have told us that all they are asking for is parity with Supreme Court judges' conditions, and since Supreme Court judges' service conditions allow them to have BMW cars, why can't the Lokpal also have a BMW car?
Rajdeep, firstly, your voice was frequently broken, though I've got the gist of your question. Let me also answer it by stepping back for 15 seconds and telling you that there is a personal long association with this. Not only did my father invent the word Lokpal and Lokayukt, but he crusaded for it in the 60s. And by a sheer coincidence, in late 99, in late 2000, mid 2000, I happened to chair the committee which gave the report on the Lokpal. So there's been a long association. I am going to, you see, this point about the BMW is really relatively trivial, but it has become a peg to hang the comment or the complaint about. The real thing is they are welcome to their BMWs, and I know that judges have entitlement to it, and I'm not really grudging them the BMWs. The real thing is that this is an institution with a huge underperformance, and I'll share some shocking statistics with you. It is an institution which has focused on the most petty of officials. It has let off anybody remotely resembling a middle level, much less a high level official or politician. It has practiced opacity, selective disclosures, and it has passed on a lot of complaints to the CBC, CBI, which is actually supposed to supervise and which are much more supposedly under their political masters. So I'll make good each of these comments as I go along, but this is the real reason why there is a reaction. That look, here you have in a sense, a group of people who came to power at least partially on this campaign. Mr. Modi did nothing about it after passing the Lokpal Act from 2013 to 19, 6 long years. And so 6 years of inactivity after passing the act. And from 19 to now, that is barely 6 years, you have had 34 investigations, Rajdeep. 3, 4, and 7, a total of 7 prosecutions, sanctions granted. I mean, this, you might as well not have a Lokpal. And all of these have involved petty officials.
1 minute. You know, these numbers, sir, just a minute. Sir, just a minute. The official data on the Lokpal website shows 6,955 complaints received since 2019. Preliminary inquiry ordered into 289 cases. 170 complaints sent to CBC for inquiry. 109 to CBI. So the Lokpal is claiming that they are actually doing some work. You seem to suggest that it is a completely ineffective body.
But I'm glad my voice is getting to you because your voice is hardly getting to me. I'm getting it in bits and snatches. But again, getting the gist of your question, you know, the statistics are two-faced. They are true both sides. 90% of complaints they receive are rejected on, you know what? On a supposedly wrong format. The ones which are entertained, a huge majority is passed on to CBC and CBI. The only 2 political leaders who have at all been proceeded against very readily and promptly are Mahua Mitra and Shubhu Soren, both on a complaint by the same person, Mr. Dubey. No major ruling party, not a single ruling party person has faced an investigation. Yes, Hemant Soren, my apologies. No major BJP leader has faced an investigation, much less a prosecution sanction. And what is very interesting is that of the 5 complaints filed against the Prime Minister, 1 was formally, with a reasoned order, rejected. The status of 4 others is not known. And when they have other persons, they promptly put on the portal, on the website, the status. In a large number of cases, you have opacity. You go to the portal, you will not get a response. You will not get what happened to complaint XYZ. So all of them, so you should be saying actually, Rajdeep, 100 received, 90 rejected for wrong format, 10 sent, 5 sent to CBI, 5 entertained. This is the response on these 5. That's not available. When they want selectively, they will publish it, like in the Bawa Mitra case
but doctor,
and the Hemant Soren case.
Dr. Singhvi, the Lokpal is headed by a former Supreme Court judge, Justice Khanwilkar. All the members of them are leading judges. They have been appointed by a committee that includes the Prime Minister, the Leader of the Opposition, a nominee of the Chief Justice or the Chief Justice himself, and an eminent jurist. Where does the flaw lie then? You've got top people in the country appointing the Lokpals. They themselves include a senior Supreme Court judge. Are you saying these judges are also partly to blame? They are looking for BMWs, but they are not delivering justice. Is that your... and if they are delivering it in a partisan manner. That's your argument.
You know, the partisan manner will come if you start dealing with them. There is no scope for partisan manner because I'm not dealing with any complaint against you. The partisanship, if at all, can be shown only in a Mahua Mitra or a Hemant Soren case, where it has been shown. Where is the question of showing partisanship where there is no entertainment? Now, take, for example, 5 complaints. I give the Prime Minister complete benefit of doubt, you can reject all 5. 1 is rejected, 4 we don't know the fate of. We don't have a reasoned order. I'm giving an example. Tell me a single ruling party, there are many complaints against ruling party members in various activities, etc. Tell me a single one. All the few which have had prosecution complaints or investigation are bank officials, clerks, somebody taking a bribe, middle level, maximum. And let me tell you, an institution is ultimately only as good or bad as the long-term vision you have for it as its member and leader. It is you who have to give a direction. It is you who have to, you know how things change in institutions.
Sir, how would you... No, 1 minute. Sir, you said your father was the first to envisage it. You said you were part of the committee on law which tried to bring the Lokpal to life, as it were. Now you're telling me that the flaw lies in the leadership, the flaw lies in the lack of direction. I maintain, as I said to you, that many of these are former judges. Is the problem with the people who are in the Lokpal that they feel eternally grateful to whoever appoints them and therefore do not act? Or is the flaw in the institution and the way it has been framed itself?
Yes, a very important question. That's the heart of the matter.
Why do we need another anti-corruption body?
It's a hard... Exactly. You know, Sherlock Holmes once said, somebody said, the dog did not bark. So he says, that's the special thing to be investigated. You know, you are envisaged, let me tell you, this started with the Swedish concept of parliamentary ombudsman. There was no anti-corruption, anti-bribery system in that. This anti-bribery corruption is a modification of the original conception of Lokpal. That was only on maladministration. Now today, you have to be a watchdog. You have to be a genuine watchdog, which if it doesn't bite, it must at least bark. You can't be a somnolent. I won't use the word lapdog, but I will say you can't be somnolent. You have to be vigilant. Can you be vigilant if you are doing 34 investigations and 7 prosecution complaints in 5 years, 6 years? You tell me. And you have to stand up to authority. T.N. Seshan was not a very liked man, and he did a lot of wrong also, according to me. But he did make an institution something to reckon with. You need to... Also, I blame the government. Apart from
so that's the problem, that you need a Lokpal who will stand up to the establishment. Dr. Singhvi, therefore, then the issue is that the people who populate the Lokpal want BMW cars at taxpayers' expense, but will not stand up to the establishment. That's the issue.
Look. The cars, let me assume they're entitled.
I don't want a lapdog. I want a watchdog.
I have no problem.
I want a watchdog, not a lapdog.
I have no problem with the cars. Although that's a peg to hang a story on, it really brings out the akrosh of the public. if judges are entitled to series 3 or 5, let them be entitled to it. But if they are entitled to it, the taxpayer is paying for them. I have no problem there also. You have to act. You tell me anybody in this country knows about the Lokpal? Anybody in this country has uncovered corruption through the Lokpal? Anybody in this country has really treats them or thinks of them as an effective watchdog? You are looking at normal. This can be done by a CBC. It can be done, in fact, by an intra-departmental vigilance officer. What you are doing? You were supposed to strike terror in the hearts, let me be very clear, of the middle level and the plus, plus, plus above that. You know, when Lee Kuan Yew became Prime Minister of Singapore, he didn't have a Lokpal. But he said, look, I will ensure that the fear of God strikes those in my senior people who indulge in this. Singapore was 5 times more corrupt than India in that time in the 60s. Now, you have to strike some terror. Here is an institution which is understaffed. They don't have a director of public prosecutions yet. Do you know that? So they have not carved out. I would have been anxious as a Lokpal or a Lokpal member to carve out a niche for myself. What it has become is another government department quietly in the backdrop, not really discharging the anti-corruption super heavyweight institution envisaged that on which Anna Hazare, the entire AAP movement, and partially the BJP road to power. Even Lokayuks, let me tell you.
Yes, aided by the Congress, which agreed. Aided by the Congress, which agreed to have a Lokpal at the time.
We have always agreed to many things, bona fide, in the good administration of the country, and they are used to bite back at us. Please bite at us, but also bite at those who are supposed to bite at. There you are not functioning. Even Lokayuks at the state level have functioned more effectively. You have examples in Karnataka. You have examples in Karnataka. You have examples in other states. This Lokpal institution at the center must immediately revamp itself.
Okay, I'm going to leave it there, Dr. Singhvi. Appreciate you taking the time off. I know you're on holiday. I won't tell our viewers where you are, but that perhaps explains part of the audio problem that we were initially having. But I appreciate, Dr. Singhvi, you joining us here on the show tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you and happy Diwali. Thank you.
Okay, let's raise the big questions and take forward what Dr. Singhvi said. 5 crore wheels for anti-graft watchdog. Is that a way forward for an anti-corruption body? Does the Lokpal really need these luxury rights? Isn't a 0.1% conviction rate damning? Should the Lokpal simply be scrapped? Is the question we want to ask. Joining me now, Kiran Bedi, member Anna Andolan. She was among those who demanded a Lokpal at the time over a decade ago. Anjali Bhardwaj is co-convener, National Campaign for People's Right to Information, raises issues of corruption. Dushyant Dave, one of the country's leading lawyers, senior advocate, Supreme Court, always speaks his mind out. I want to come to each of you, starting with you, Dr. Bedi, first. You tell me, after all these years, when you push for a Lokpal, today you're hearing that the entire body needs to be revamped. It's acting like an interdepartmental body, not really putting any fear in the corrupt. Do you feel that entire campaign was wasted? Whatever happened to your demand for a Lokpal, do you believe it was justified all these years later?
Well, the kind of report you submitted, the kind of information you revealed, obviously reveals a very non-performing or underperforming institution. Something which had laudable objectives and was needed at that time, but obviously has not performed. It's a letdown. It's needed, to my mind, it's needed, but it's not performed. So I think it's the people who headed over the years. So, Rajdeep, we don't have social audit of institutions like these. I wish we'd had such a social audit every year of the performance of the Lokpal, so that people would know how much is being spent and how much has been delivered. I think this is the first time I'm hearing. I may be responsible for it, but I'm for the first time hearing the kind of performance Lokpal has done over the years since it happened. And it was not an individual performance; it was a very collective movement, which actually was filling in a vacuum. And Lokpal was filling a very major vacuum to deal with high-level, high-end corruption, which was needed at that time. But it's obviously, by the reports which you submitted, it's underperformed. And that's a tragic loss. I would say an institution like this is needed,
Okay.
but it must be a performing institution, fearless.
Okay, you're saying it's needed.
Fearless institution, and fearless and
You're saying
confident at delivering.
You're saying it's needed. You're saying it's needed. It needs to be audited. Okay, you're saying it's needed. It should be audited. Dushyant Dave, your view: should we just scrap the Lokpal? Why is it needed? If it's going to only act as some say the government's lapdog, why do we need it? It was supposed to be an anti-corruption watchdog.
Rajdeep, first and foremost, every public officer, whether he is a minister, whether he is a MLA, whether he is a judge, whether he is an officer, everybody is, today enjoying the fruits of, opulence in public life, is not bothered at all about the expenditure. They do not treat their office as a trustee, which they should. And as a result of that, everywhere, I mean, I can speak for judiciary, that judges have insisted on buying these expensive cars across the country in Supreme Court, BMWs in other high courts, other expensive cars, and the governments have naturally caved in because they don't want to displease the judges so that they don't get displeasing judgments. I have known of cases where judges are given, mobile phones from the, registry, and the mobile phones are used by their practicing lawyer children with bills amounting to tens of thousands of rupees. Now, nobody in this country, I mean, for example, CAG just doesn't do anything. We know how much money has been spent in buying aircraft for the Prime Minister and for other, ministers and all in various ministries. Nobody questions. Thousands of crores are wasted in buying cars, buying aircrafts. Every chief minister is now buying an aircraft. The public life today has become a life to be enjoyed, not to serve the people of the country. Lokayukt, Lokpal was created with a very good objective. Unfortunately, every institution in this country has catapulted, and Lokpal is one of them, the latest one. So I don't think any purpose is going to be served because all
So
these
is it necessary?
institutions
So do you
are
need it?
compromised, and therefore it is very difficult for us to get any results. As everybody on this panel, Dr. Singhvi said, Mrs. Kiran Bedi said, I agree with them that yes, there is non-performance. So according to me, there is no performance at all. These bodies should be abolished so that we can save some money. Today you walk, you go across the country, which I do. I have friends across the country. Everybody talks in whispers that corruption is very, very high amongst the bureaucracy, amongst the income tax, amongst the ED. Nobody wants to talk about it. In fact, the judgment which weaponized ED was given by Justice Khanvilkar in Supreme Court. He should start investigating ED itself, because many a time Supreme Court judges in recent years have spoken about ED's role, ED's conduct. So these are issues which nobody wants to address. Unfortunately, Rajdeep, in this country, we will never, overcome these challenges because we have lost the will to fight these challenges. And public, offices are manned by people who are very selectively selected, so that, they really don't do what they are supposed to do. And they really end up enjoying a very nice life, a cushy life. And we have seen, former Chief Justice of India enjoying the house for 8.5 months. I remember my father was a judge. As a judge of the High Court in the early 70s, if he didn't have money to, fill in petrol in the car, he would not call a car from the High Court. He would walk down to the High Court. The day he retired, we left the house. That kind of thing was there. Today, nobody cares about it. Everybody is, enjoying the fruits of the office as if personal office. So I don't think, Rajdeep, this is an extremely bad precedent that Justice Khanvilkar is setting. In fact, he should not be doing it. He should stop at this if he has any, sense or sensibility left. Because otherwise, it raises very avoidable and serious questions about the integrity of the institution.
Okay, you've raised very, very important points, Mr. Dave. Anjali Bhardwaj, do we therefore need, even if we have to have a Lokpal, it needs to start performing and put the fear of the Lokpal in the minds of powerful people, but importantly, do we need an audit of it? This entire story has come up because of the BMW. Otherwise, nobody was even looking at what the Lokpal was doing. The question, therefore, is this also part of the need to be transparent and audit all these bodies that are functioning at taxpayers' expense?
Yes, Rajdeep, I totally agree that there needs to be an audit of all these bodies. All these bodies need to understand that they are finally in a democracy accountable to the people of India. They are not accountable to those in power. They are not accountable to any minister, prime minister. They are accountable to the people of the country. There has to be an audit. They have to be accountable. Let me also inform your viewers that the Lokpal has not put out an annual report of its performance after 2021-22 on its website. I also want to say here that when we talk about a watchdog like the Lokpal, Rajdeep, all of us remember the kind of public campaign that happened when the Lokpal was being demanded. What was the reason why a body like this was required? Everybody felt that big ticket cases of corruption are not handled properly in the country. Those in the highest offices, when they are indulging in corruption, the CBI, CVC, these kind of bodies have become caged parrots. So we needed an independent and empowered body to look into cases of corruption. That is why the Lokpal was required. And therefore, I remember when the law was being drafted and civil society was looking at who should be in the selection committee, the most important thing was that the selection committee should not have a preponderance, a majority of the ruling party members, of government representatives. Now look at what has happened to the appointment process of the Lokpal. In the first 5 years after the Lokpal law was passed, no appointment was made by this government to the Lokpal. Finally, when in 2019 the appointment was made, it was made by a selection committee which had a majority of government representatives. The leader of opposition was not recognized and therefore was not a member. So we had a majority of the ruling party in the selection committee which decided who the members of the Lokpal will be. Naturally, it destroyed the basic tenet of setting up the Lokpal, which was independence, which was public trust. It completely eroded public trust because what people walked away with was the sense that the government obviously would appoint people who are close to the ruling dispensation, who are close to the government. And we have seen the working of the Lokpal, Rajdeep. Yes, there has not been too much noise about it because unfortunately we are seeing how our mainstream media today is largely quiet about these issues. But civil society has been raising how the Lokpal has not been performing. You look at the prosecution wing of the Lokpal. It was such an important thing that we all fought for. The prosecution wing was to be set up by the Lokpal itself. Do you know when the prosecution wing has been set up? In June this year, after 12 years of the law being passed. So this has become a joke. The law was supposed to hold to account and stop corruption at the highest offices. Which are the high ticket, big ticket corruption cases that any one of us have heard the Lokpal taking up? It's been nothing. There have been no, I mean, look at the kind of corruption the CAG has been flagging. Look at the kind of corruption the CAG has been flagging in its reports. Hundreds and thousands of crores of rupees of corruption in the Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana, in the highways construction in NHAI. The largest corruption scam in the country, the electoral bond scam, has just come out a few years ago. Has any one of us heard anything that the Lokpal has done on any of these cases? Are we being told that corruption is finished in this country and the Lokpal only finds 7 cases to prosecute? Now, these are the questions that I think require answering.
Can I just get, ma'am, I'm just going to, you're hitting hard, you're hitting very hard, and you're hitting where it hurts. Hopefully the people are waking up, but Kiran Bedi, you want to respond? It almost seems as if the Lokpal has then become a Jokpal. You see, the fact is that maybe the system is unwilling to have a Lokpal who actually will bite and not just bark. At the moment, they're not even barking, but there's no bite. So is our system incapable of handling a strong anti-corruption independent ombudsman, Kiran Bedi?
Well, the body was created exactly for that purpose. But if the body decides to remain docile itself, then what is the option? There is no dearth of cases of corruption, visible corruption.
No, why
Across
blame
the
the body?
services.
Blame the system. Blame those who appoint the body.
No, those people who are appointed. Even if these people have been appointed, what stops them to perform? Why are they fearless? Why are they not fearless? Why can't they perform? I understand they've been appointed by a system created. But what's wrong if they perform? Why are they not accountable? Doesn't their conscience speak up that they've been appointed for a purpose and they must deliver instead of going for opulence? Why don't they go for performance? The point is, and as she said, that there's no annual report even posted up.
Okay.
Why? What stops them? What stops an individual posted, even if not rightly, from performing? Doesn't he or she have a conscience? Don't they have a duty to perform? Don't they feel accountable? Don't they need to be? Do they need to be told what their duty is? Do they need to know what they're for there? Nothing stops the person from performing. Now he can't say, "Oh no, I was wrongly appointed." Okay, even if you're wrongly appointed, but you are duty bound to perform.
You're saying that, but therefore, Dushyant Dave, is the problem with the individuals or the institution? There's a belief, and I heard Abhishek Manu Singhvi saying, look at what T.N. Session did. Right or wrong, at least he brought fear in the eyes of politicians and the powerful.
No, Rajdeep, all these bodies are being filled up, I must say, with great sense of sadness by judges who have, shown to themselves to be extremely pro-establishment while they were judges. And, this has been, for example, the earlier Lokpal, I forget his name, the first Lokpal, he sat on this judgment that the case that I argued against Miss Jayalalitha and Shashikala for almost 1 year. And we had the hearings during the vacation. He insisted hearing should be completed in vacation. We completed it. Then he said for 1 year, I had to ultimately mention the matter that you are not giving the judgment. He delivered the judgment after Miss Jayalalitha passed away. And he hanged Shashikala. Now, this is the kind of a man who was appointed as first Lokayukt. We all know what is happening, why he did that, and why he was appointed. So, unfortunately, Rajdeep, there is nothing we can do in this country today which can really fight corruption. I mean, officers like Ms. Bedi who have really, been kind of a, torchbearer of fight against what is happening, what is wrong in the society. There are far and few today. And, in every sense of governance, in every level of governance, things are extremely, extremely dire. Nobody wants to talk. Nobody wants to. No newspaper wants to talk. No television anchor wants to talk.
Okay.
No people want to talk. So, these cases, if you talk to people, everybody will tell you.
Dushyant Dave, I
money. So, unless
I am giving you a free run to raise these issues, I believe that these issues should, unless there is unless voices are heard, more voices are heard, obviously these cases won't come to light. Anjali Bhardwaj, let me therefore give you a final word on it. If there was one change that you would want to bring, very quickly, what would that change be? To ensure that we have a Lokpal which actually is an anti-corruption watchdog in the truest sense. Is there a change you would bring? If so, what? Very quickly.
Rajdeep, what we need is political will. Till we have a situation where the law might be absolutely perfect, but if one is still going to end up with a selection committee that is going to have the preponderance of the ruling party, which will then naturally select people who are inclined towards them, close to them, action will continue to be taken selectively. Just look at the big names that the Lokpal has taken action against. I mean, you will find people like Mahua Moitra and other opposition leaders like the JMM Chief Minister. What about people who are sitting in power? That is what the Lokpal was meant for. The Lokpal was Clearly, the requirement was that when somebody is in power,
Right.
they control agencies, anti-corruption agencies, investigation agencies. We need an independent ombudsman. We need an independent anti-corruption ombudsman who will fearlessly take up cases of corruption. Where is that? And as long as there is no political will, selection committees will be, look at how
So
the
you're
election
saying the appointment process?
Yes. And what about the assets and liabilities of the election of the
You're saying
Lokpal,
the
by the way?
appointment process needs to change.
They are asking for these luxury cars. I was looking on their website for their own assets and liabilities. There is no account of it. They're not accountable to the people of this country.
Let me leave it there. I think we've heard I've heard very strong voices today, voices that need to be heard. Enough is enough, some say, in the way institutions... Yes, ma'am, 30 seconds, go ahead.
Rajdeep, it's not just the
Go ahead,
appointment process. Finally, it's the individuals in position. If they want to deliver and they owe it to their conscience, owe it to their country, they will deliver. But even if a rightly appointed people develop cold feet, what can you do? The point finally is on the people occupying the positions. Do they have a conscience which hurts them? And to deliver
small people in high offices. That's the problem India has.
It's not just the people, but it's all... Okay, very, very strong words that I've heard today, and I hope that that these words will echo loud and clear among the powers that be who need to make our institutions truly independent and effective. The Lokpal has now stood exposed at the moment. I appreciate my guests joining me. Let's turn to our ground report today. It comes from Chennai. It's an India Today impact. Over the last few days, we've been reporting how the rains have left a complete pothole mess in several parts of Chennai. Well, looking at those reports, the good news is officials from the municipal corporation there have finally swung into action. Take a look at today's report from Chennai.
A few hours of heavy shower and this is what Chennai received. Waterlogging and broken roads. And a civic administration's assurances that hold no water. India Today went on the ground to show the sad state of affairs that people in Chennai experience during the daily commute. Large craters on the roads, vehicles risking bumpy roads, and waterlogged potholes. Moments after the India Today report, Chennai civic body officials swung into action. Officials began repair work at the spot highlighted by India Today.
What we could see in the morning is that, of course, water has drained in many locations. However, there are sporadic spots like this. This is one of the important roads, Anna Saleh, and the interesting fact is that, work is happening of bridge construction or metro in various areas. So there are such kind of localized areas. There are, because of bad roads and such, water stagnation is also visible. We're glad to report that India Today's story coverage on the monsoon rains have made impact on the ground as we speak, because there were two locations that we reported, one from the site and another we mentioned, both on Tenampet, and this is a site we said that this is a location that is being taken by the Chief Minister every day, but even here the roads were really bad and it has been there kind of fine for almost a week. But as we have spoken on this matter right now, work is in progress where people are here, they have brought in M-sand and they are covering the road, and also they have brought in a JCB through which they are leveling it. As we speak, this is being taken care of. This is a kind of preemptive work we were speaking about earlier. This work should have been done at least 3 days before, knowing that there's going to be heavy rainfall and the impact on the ground would be such kind.
India Today went a step further and exposed the shocking bias by civic administration when it comes to VVIPs and common citizens. These are images of lanes in front of residents of VVIPs. India Today visited the lane leading to TVK Chief Vijay's house and the lane opposite key politicians in Chennai, only to find swanky roads there. And these are the visuals of what Chennai's muckle get after paying taxes. Cratered roads with water filled in it.
We are at present, and this is a road where we have Tamilagaveti Karagam leader Vijay and other prominent VIPs residents, and look at the way the roads have been maintained. Very less like water stagnation over here. Otherwise, the road is pretty neat, not that much potholes, and it has been kept very clean to make sure that the VIPs at this spot do not have any kind of concern. This is one road and we're just going to walk. Now, just to show a parallel road on this particular location, and to our left side, you could see what is happening. This is a road that is parallel to where Vijay stays, and unfortunately, this is a condition. You can see the vehicles, how difficult it is for them to travel. And what happened is that one of the concerned citizens from this particular area informed us that this particular road has been in this condition since October 2024.
This is Chennai's Greenways Road locality, with prominent politicians, including Deputy Chief Minister Udayanidhi Stalin's residence, is located. It shows the stark example of how VVIPs get special privileges of clean and swanky roads compared to common citizens.
This is one of the best parts of Chennai. You know why? Because this is where the real VIPs of the city live. Cabinet ministers, top businessmen, the real VIPs of the city live on this very stretch where we are reporting from, the Greenways Road. Just take a look at this road. Smooth, spotless, no cracks, no waterlogging. What an absolute joyride it is to drive on this very stretch of road. Now compare this with Pallikaranai, Medavakam, Madipakam, Thuraipakam, the entire OMR stretch of road, Porur, Poonamalli, and there you have your answer.
Tall claims have been made by the Stalin government that it is fully prepared for the monsoon. Promises which now lie fully exposed. With Pramod Madhav and Anaga Kesav in Chennai, Bureau Report, India Today.
Let's turn from there to our Get Real India story. A shocking case of caste discrimination has emerged from Lucknow's Kakori area, where a Dalit elder was allegedly forced to lick his own urine inside a temple. The accused has now been arrested, but the entire incident has predictably and rightly so sparked outrage. Get Real India.
Inside the Shitla Mata temple in Kakori near Lucknow, an act of unimaginable humiliation. An elderly Dalit man suffering from a respiratory illness, allegedly forced to lick his own urine by a man identified as Swamikant alias Pammu. Police say the victim had accidentally urinated inside the temple due to his illness. The accused reportedly verbally abused him, called the temple defiled, and forced him to perform purification by licking the spot and then washing the temple floor.
ये जातिवादी मानसिकता बहुत खराब होती चली जा रही है। ये कुछ लोग ऐसे हैं जो समाज को तोड़ना चाह रहे हैं, अपना अकेला राज करना चाह रहे हैं। ये बहुत दुखद है।
ये सब जो है वहाँ के बड़े लोग हैं, बनिया लोग हैं, और इनका कहना है कि यहाँ पर मेरा कब्जा है, मेरे आदमी आए, कोई बाहरी यहाँ पर ना बैठे।
The man, still shaken by what happened, says he was humiliated for no fault of his own.
हमको सांस दमा थी, हम उठ नहीं पाए, हमको पेशाब हो गई या हमने कर दिया पेशाब, तो वो जब पूछने लगे हमसे हमारे मुझे बताया नहीं, तो बाद में उसने हमसे कहा चल इसको चाटो, तो हाथ से लेकर के यूं है कि हम चाट लिया।
His family is demanding stricter action, alleging that the accused is a history cheater who has harassed Dalits before.
बस हमको इंसाफ दिला दीजिए, बस हमको कोई सुलह समझौता कुछ भी नहीं करना है, बस हमको बस इंसाफ चाहिए तो चाहिए, बस ये जेल चला जाए बस।
As the incident triggered anger across Lucknow, political outrage followed, with the opposition accusing the Yogi Adityanath government of being blind to Uttar Pradesh being the worst offender when it comes to atrocities against Dalits.
उत्तर प्रदेश का पूरा जो लॉ एंड ऑर्डर है, स्पेशली दलित्स के मामले में, वो बिल्कुल पुलिस का सबका मिजाज एक तरह का है, सरकार का मिजाज एक तरह का है।
ये दलितों का पूरी तरीके से भाजपा विरोधी है और ये पूरी देश के अंदर दलितों का अपमान कर रही है। अब पेशाब चटवा रहे हैं, कहाँ हैं आप? ये क्या कर रहे हैं आप?
The state government, meanwhile, is rejecting claims of systemic caste oppression and insists that the guilty will not be spared.
सरकार गंभीर है। इस प्रकार की जितनी भी घटनाएं हैं, सरकार लगातार दलितों के साथ, पीड़ितों के साथ, वंचितों के साथ खड़ी है और जो भी इसमें दोषी होगा उसके खिलाफ कार्रवाई होगी। पूरी जांच चल रही है।
From humiliation in a temple to a larger question on social justice, the Kakori horror has once again exposed deep caste fault lines in India. With Ashish in Kakori, Bureau Report, India Today.
I want to leave you tonight with my image of the day. It's the jail cell which is being prepared inside Mumbai's Arthur Road jail for jeweler Mehul Choksi, who India is looking to extradite from a Belgium court. In Belgium, Choksi has claimed that Indian jails are overcrowded and unsafe and therefore he shouldn't be returned back. Now these photos accessed by India Today show a 46 square meter barrack which has 2 cells, private toilets and basic facilities. Let's hope that Mehul Choksi is extradited sooner rather than later. He must meet with the justice, with the arms of justice in this country. I want to leave you on that note. Thanks for watching. Stay well, stay safe. Good night, Shubh Ratri. Jai Hind. Namaskar.